We like to welcome you to BeMoreNews.com. We have these two incredible authors, Nisha and Pam. Pam and Nisha. What's the word?
The word is that relationships start with you. They start with yourself. They start with understanding where you come from so that you'll have a better idea of where you're going or why you're in the situation that you're in right now. And so, Is It Love is Pam's book. Pam, you can talk a little bit about your book and relationships. It talks.
I'm conducting this interview. What is the problem with relationships? There you go, take it on. What is the problem with our relationships, Nisha?
I think that individuals don't know who they are. I think they have to start with themselves. You have to have a relationship with yourself first.
So we got people out here who are dating each other, but neither one of them know who they are individually.
I believe it starts there. I think they're sending representatives, and I think that you have to know who you are.
Yeah, but isn't that just cliches? I hear it said all the time, or let alone, there's one author out there, lady author, she wants to come on the show, says she married Satan, didn't know that this guy was married already. Come on now. I've heard a lot of. Come on, Pam.
Well, Donnie, part of the problem is our fairy tale expectations. We want to just focus on fantasy, fairy tale, all this good.
Starting with the wedding.
Well, that's right. That's right. And we don't
a $200,000 wedding, and you ain't got but $15,000.
That's right. Well, you're already asking for trouble. You're starting out with this fairy tale expectation.
$200,000. That's a house.
You know that you don't have any money, but you want this fabulous wedding when that's only.
And who gets stressed out in the process?
Both individuals. It will come back to haunt both individuals.
Oh, okay. I thought it was just the man, because I see a lot of dudes come wedding day, they just can't wait to say I do just to get that over and take that tux off.
Well, they can't focus on the marriage. They have to focus on,
y'all send a cat through mayhem with the wedding now. Y'all don't know.
Oh, we send ourselves through mayhem.
Why?
Because we're taught from birth how much a wedding means to a little girl.
Yes.
And so we spend our whole lives.
Okay, but is that so? Is that a sick attachment?
No, it's not a sick attachment.
I think so. I think that's a sick attachment, being married to fantasy. Let's keep it simple. You get married to have a marriage, but a lot of people can't even afford they plan these exotic weddings, and they never think about, okay, well, what do we do after the wedding?
Well, I think that was my point I mentioned earlier, is that individuals are focusing more on the external things and how it looks in the perception, and they aren't focusing on the substance of who they are, their commitment levels, their values, their standards. That is really important.
Shouldn't we start telling little girls that the courthouse ain't a bad place to get married?
Well, there's nothing wrong with that.
Or is it a sick attachment?
Well, it's a sick attachment when everything is delusional. Like Nisha said, when you start fantasizing, when you're not clear about and honest about who you are. Mm-hmm. Because if you're going into this based on fantasy and delusion, that's how you're going to operate throughout your entire relationship.
I got two brothers that have been married 40 years. And when I share that, it's always interesting to see the look on people's faces as if that cannot happen.
Yes,
I have two brothers that have been married 40 plus years. I've seen it. It can be done. Yes, it can.
It can be done. My parents were married for 60 years and 8 months. I have 3 siblings that have been married for 50 years. I have one sibling married for 45 years.
We need to celebrate them.
Yeah.
Because we don't, that story right there is not celebrated enough. I tell you, especially when I see what's happening in our community.
But we're different. We're really dealing with a lot of different dynamics here. You have the dating game. You have, you just have a lot of different things. The traditional marriage and commitment levels and values are very different today than they were 40 years ago.
Do people even want to get married? It came
reasons.
out on television, this big actress who said that she was going to have a baby and didn't want no husband, father, anything.
Well, that's her personal choice, but people do still want to get married. Despite the high rates of divorce, people still want to get married. People still buy into that fantasy of the wedding.
But what's the reality?
Well, the reality is twofold. There are good marriages, very good marriages, and the reality is there are troubled marriages. And in my book, that's what I want individuals to see, the warning signs, to know where a troubled relationship can go. Look, the statistics, national statistics state that every day 3 women and 1 man die. That's your worst case scenario in a relationship, but it happens every day. And none of those people involved even contemplated that what they thought was their loving relationship would wind up in death.
Nisha, I've heard that Facebook has caused a lot of divorces.
Yeah, it's very transparent. You get to see a lot of information out there. The sad part about it is there are individuals who's knowing more about your spouse than you are. So there's no communication going on in the homes. And you have to communicate before the marriage and be very real about what you're finding. Don't create things or find excuses to try to fix people or see the potential and try to make them be who you want them to be. Keep it real.
You agree with that, Pam?
Yes, and if you're not communicating with your partner, why? What are you afraid of? What are you afraid to disclose, and what are you afraid to find out?
I mean, your significant other is supposed to know everything about you.
Well, I think that there's no
Facebook
one,
says
there's
do
no
not
one,
give your spouse your password.
Well, I agree with that. I certainly agree with
I
that.
think we're all entitled to our privacy, and if your significant other has a problem with that, then there's the element of trust. What's wrong with that? If you're secure in your relationship, why do you need to know every morsel? There's a problem with, there's another
Suppose there's a
underlying
quiet, silent bank account that I don't know nothing about.
Well, that's beyond Facebook.
and,
Beyond
and,
Facebook.
and that leads to another issue. Why does your partner believe you don't need to know about it?
I mean, if you've been married to somebody 10, 15 years and you come to find out about some things that you didn't know about, wouldn't that be a cause for alarm?
It depends on everything else that was
Pack
going
your
on.
stuff.
Because you
Oh,
found
see,
The,
because,
lock,
Doni,
the locks have been changed. Don't even worry about coming home
See,
tonight.
that's the problem. People are so quick to do that, and they're not committed. See, that's the traditional values back in the day says, you know what, we stand together no matter what.
You got 20 grand stash.
okay,
No,
Donnie,
that's
suppose
one of the best. That's
everything
something
else
knowing.
is suppose all else is well. The
Oh,
mere fact.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Of course you're gonna give that some slack.
Yeah,
But-
yeah,
That's what I'm
and that's what
saying.
we're saying,
Yeah.
you know. But there are some individuals that are so, hey, maybe they have a sick attachment to money, and when they found out about this amount that was undisclosed, that sends them off. And if that one issue sends you off, then there were problems anyway.
Okay, go ahead, Nisha.
And this brings out a really good point. People are very selfish in relationships. If you're doing what you can to help enhance that relationship with the other person and help fulfillment to their life, and they're doing vice versa, everybody's happy. The
Okay.
problem is they're very selfish.
Okay, let's deal with that very basic point, Pam. If you are doing something for your significant other, should they be doing similar for you?
They don't have to do similar for you because you may not need exactly what they need. You may need something else. So you shouldn't try to mirror.
So the significant other should give you what you need.
They should, well, based on what if your needs are reasonable, you know, because sometimes we have reasonable expectations and sometimes we have unreasonable.
What's an unreasonable expectation?
Let's say if a woman is the type who just thinks a man should take care of her, and she's materialistic, and she just wants and wants and wants. And this brother is working as hard as he can to accommodate her. That's an unreasonable expectation. If you think he's going to put you in $1 million home and he works for the bus company, that's unreasonable. You know, you can't expect him to do that when he's doing everything in his power to make you happy.
I've seen the other scenario where a person did marry for money and they ended up with the spouse from hell because they married for money.
Yeah.
And that should have been disclosed.
The motives.
So it's okay to get married for money.
No.
Well, no, it's not okay. But guess what? If two people have a conversation,
Isn't that what the King of England and the Prince and this royal wedding, isn't that all about we marrying for money? Or is that love?
A combination.
Or merely
I
a
think
sick
it's a combination.
attachment?
a combination.
It sounds like a sick attachment.
No.
combination.
And Donnie, guys, I do not want readers to come away thinking that every troubled relationship is a sick attachment. There's a distinction. You know, all of us, you know, we have challenges in our relationship. The sick attachment, I believe, knows no barriers. A sick attachment.
Black, white, Jewish, Gentile,
That's
African,
age.
European.
It knows no boundaries. It will do anything to you and your relationship. It will stop at nothing.
So have we found synergy here, Nisha?
We certainly have. Synergy, the collective force, is helping individuals to tap into who they are, learn themselves, and have better relationships.
All right,
That is what it's all about.
So Nisha, what's your nugget for today?
My nugget for today is that individuals really have to find out who they are. You have to find that golden nugget.
How do I find out who I am? Look in the mirror?
Absolutely. Study yourself. Study your likes
How
and
do I
dislikes.
study? Write down what I'm thinking?
Absolutely. You have to journal.
Oh my God,
You
lady,
need
I'm
to
going to be in
journal.
class forever.
You know what? Life is about learning forever. You never stop learning. If you do, you will be dead. You know, I hope you never stop
I
learning.
heard a chronologically blessed lady say that last week. You learn something every day, don't you?
Absolutely.
That's right.
You should, definitely. And the thing is, you have to embrace it, good and bad.
Pam?
There's nothing wrong with self-evaluation. You know, successful businesses, they periodically go back and reevaluate their operations. Self-evaluation, there's nothing wrong with
And
that.
if you don't, the Internal Revenue is more than happy to help you.
That's right. That's right.
That's why you'll get an external audit, believe me. If you
But
don't.
start loving yourself. Learn to distinguish healthy, loving relationships. Don't accept toxic relationships. Don't accept terror that disguises itself as love. You have to learn the distinction between love and the sick attachment. Your life depends on it.
Okay, well, can you give us some dating tips, anybody?
Yeah, I certainly will give you a dating tip. Actually get to know the person. Actually be open to being a friend first. I would start there. Let's not go in with illusions that this could be my husband and you don't know this man. You don't know how many kids he have. You don't know anything about him. Learn, ladies, that you have to learn to like a person if you got to know him.
And men need to,
Well, men
the
too.
same in reverse, right? The exact
Absolutely.
same
I mean,
thing.
I coach more women, but men definitely. You both. You have to learn an
Because
individual.
some could say that women are masters at deception,
Well, I think people can be.
physical appearances. I mean,
Oh,
you know.
well, I mean, I think that people can be. I think you have to be around an individual. You have to learn. You
I
have
mean,
to
you
listen.
don't remember that movie? I'm gonna get you, sucker.
I
Guy
do.
thought he had a
She
whole
took
woman. She
everything
took the
off.
wig off, the
Yeah.
leg
She was a
off.
whole totally different person.
She was sending a
But
representative
you know
for
what?
real.
The reality of it is that there's so much more to that external person. So you have to learn who that person is.
Okay, come on, old great diva.
That's my dating tip.
I would say stop defining everything that you like and what feels good is love. Learn the distinction between love and lust, love and a sick attachment, and what's reality and what's fantasy. There's nothing wrong about fantasizing. Just keep it in perspective. But as I said, stop thinking everything has to fast forward to happily ever after.
Okay.
Everything won't wind
Well,
up in happily ever
I
after.
can't wait till we pick up on this conversation again. Hopefully, it won't. It'll be before next week because we got to ask you about women and cooking, fast food. Where
Okay.
you want to go to dinner? They want to go to the most expensive restaurant downtown on the first date.
Yeah, we have to talk
But,
about
I
Donnie,
love Ruth Chris. You don't go to no Ruth Chris. They been there one time. It was the boss's Christmas party, but the dude said, "Where you want to go?" "Oh, I want to go to Ruth Chris."
She wants the
I
experience with
can't
you.
afford the asparagus at Ruth Chris.
Yes, you can.
I like ocean air anyway. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, Donnie.
Keep watching BeMoreNews.com, the news before the news, where we uncover the truth. And hopefully we're going to keep some people together and get some good people together like the song says. Let's stay together. God bless you, ladies.